Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Alex here, and today we are going to be sampling, processing, and chopping the Think Break, taken from Lyn Collins' 1972 track Think About It, which was written and recorded by James Brown. Now, the Think Break is a curious one in that there's not just one Think Break, there are actually four of them, plus a really nice tambourine loop, and they're all taken from the same record. I am going to show you how I've sampled these and how I kind of clean them up and make them into nice loops before we do some processing, and then we're going to chop them up and we're going to make some nice breakbeat patterns with them. The Think Break or the Think Breaks are some of my favourite to use. I use them all the time. They chop up really nicely. They've got a kind of great timbre quality and they work really well with things like the Amen. So let's just give a listen to them. Let's give a listen to the clean ones that I've already prepared. I'll just go through them sequentially and you can hear them. You'll recognise them from all types of electronic music, all types of kind of sample-based genres. Let's give them a listen. Yeah, so some instantly recognisable samples there. Chances are you would have heard these time and time again. And if you didn't know it was the Think Break, you're going to hear it everywhere now. With the internet and the fact that all recorded music is now available instantly at our fingertips, there's never been a better time to kind of get into sampling. You just need a good screen recorder or some way that you can capture the audio on your desktop. And then you can chop these breaks up. You can sample breaks from anywhere and add them to your collection. And I would encourage everyone to do this because it's a really good way to kind of follow the process through from start to finish. You can also just use breaks that you might already have in packs and things like that. But I think the good thing about this is that you can discover breaks that are lesser used, and if you hear a nice break or a nice sample you want to use, you kind of know how to do it yourself. So I actually use a piece of software called Loopback, which allows you to kind of route audio around in the Mac ecosystem. If I kind of add a new track and I show you the inputs, I can select in my external ins for it to come through from Loopback. So then I can just sample anything in my browser or Spotify or anything like that. There's a good free one on Chrome, which is called Sampler. I think it's a Chrome extension, and that's really good for kind of capturing things from YouTube. So you could do this, you could find a high quality video of this and sample it from there. The breaks occur at 1 minute 22, so that's the Think 1, 1 minute 34, that's the Think 2, 2 minutes and 2 seconds, that's the Think 3, 2 minutes and 14 seconds, Think 4, and then the tambourines at 2:21. So I've already kind of sampled these in to Ableton, and you can see this is just how they're coming in. They're a bit quiet. Some of them are obviously a bit longer. To avoid any kind of copyright issues, I won't include the audio of me actually sampling it and aligning it up until I've got it going faster. But you can follow along the steps, and they'll apply to any kind of thing, any kind of breakbeat sample that you want to chop up and clean up. So the first thing to do is you're going to want to find the first kick. So that's about here, and then I am just going to kind of line this up by eye to where it looks like the first kick is happening. Something like that is probably fine, maybe a touch before. And in fact, before I do that, I'm going to duplicate this. Okay, and this is going to be our Think 1. And maybe we'll do this. Do. Okay, we'll call this 2, 3, 4 tams. Okay. Now each break is 1 bar long, so we have that piece of information. So I like to align up the beginning and end points to be 1 bar long, because then before cropping it, because then when I switch warp on and use Repitch mode, which is kind of the most authentic way to get that kind of jungle sound, I actually know that it's here. That's 1 bar. That's the first loop. That is our... That's that break or that sample. So I'm going to just bring it up as close as I can. maybe here, something like that. Yeah, that's probably fine. Okay, and then I'm going to right-click crop. I'm going to turn warp on. I'm going to turn it to repitch, and I'm going to turn loop on. And if I play that back for you guys, you will hear it should sound similar. Great. Okay, so we're kind of in the ballpark here. I think I've already done some processing on these before, so I'm just going to press on now and do the same for all of the other samples. So it's worth saying that the tambourine loop is actually only 2 measures long. 1, 2. The rest is all a bit dirty. It's got other things kind of coming into it, so just be mindful of that. Yeah, so I actually had a bit of difficulty with the tambourines there, and I've had to kind of extend it out and make it 1 bar long now. You'll hear it's kind of got something coming in at the end. Okay, that's better. And we'll just crop that. Back to the 1 measure, 1, 2. Yeah, half a bar long. Okay, so there are each of them that I've just taken down from, or I've chopped down from the original full sample of the record at the various points. Lovely. And with the repitch mode on, they've got that kind of they've been pitched up to make the speed work at the tempo of the set, which is 170. A couple of things to be wary of. You might find that when you're kind of aligning up the sample to be 1 bar long, you need to know how long the break is, or how long it happens for at the tempo of the original track. So like the amen is like 4 bars long, and so you need to know that when you're kind of lining up the sample that you're then going to chop down to be 4 bars long. Because what you might find is when you've done it is that live has kind of not picked it up correctly, and it's a lower pitch like that, which is good for like certain chops and stuff like that. But if that happens, just go to this kind of panel here and click divide by 2, and it'll halve the speed or double the speed even. Okay, so they don't quite sound like the ones that I demoed earlier, and what we're going to do is we're going to insert an audio track, and we're going to call this like Think Prince. Okay, and we're going to set this to resampling. Okay, great. And now we're going to do a bit of processing on them. We're going to see if we can clean things up a bit and make them hit a bit harder. Now they're all slightly different in terms of the quality and the timbres. The last one particularly has got quite a punchy kick. Yeah, it's got quite a prominent punchy kick. So I'm just going to talk you through the kind of thing that I usually do when I'm dealing with breaks like this. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make them mono, because you can hear and you can see that these aren't, there's stereo stuff going on here, and it's slightly on the right, very slightly. You can hear the reverb of the recording. So I'm going to mono them, and I'm going to adjust the gain, but I'm going to do that in the clip, and I want to get things at kind of minus 18 RMS before I start printing them. Okay, adjust the gain in the next one. That's probably okay. That's probably my favourite one. Well, you can hear all that noise in it, you know. -18 RMS because that's the kind of optimal level that plugins in the digital domain work at, which is why I work to that kind of volume, and it's just a nice healthy gain in the digital domain to work at. So yeah, I've monoed those now, and they are the kind of stereo action has all been collapsed down to mono. I think the next, like, I usually follow the kind of same processing for most breaks, which is like EQ. I might try channel EQ as well, and then I usually go in with compression. I will keep it simple for the time being. I like the glue compressor. Is there anything else I would like to do? Well, I will probably go with Redux as well, even though I would have a preference to use maybe Infonic RX 950. I really like this on breaks. What we're going to do though, I'm just going to turn these off. I'm going to go through them kind of one by one. So let's group these and we'll turn them off. What we'll do is we'll turn the individual plugins off. I think for the purposes of this video as well, I'm just going to work with my favourite break, which is free. I'm not going to do anything like layer this up with any kind of kick drums or anything like that. It's all just going to be taken from this sample itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is EQ it, and I'm probably going to put a low pass on. And this is all going to be to ear right now. So it usually varies every time that I kind of go through this process. You know. So you can hear that's kind of where the bottom of the kick drum's living. And sometimes it could be nice after like that kind of boost to do some kind of scoop like this. Like a narrow scoop. And a lot of these breaks, including the Amen, benefit sometimes from a bit of a scoop in the mid-range. Maybe we'll try the channel EQ for that. I think the thing with all this, it's like practice, trial and error, and what you like. Adjust the mid-range. Yeah. Okay. Now you can see we kind of start to shave off gain. If you look at the RMS, which is the bright green. Alright, yeah, I think that's sounding pretty good. So just turn it on, A/B it. Maybe drop this down a little bit. But yeah, I think it's mainly that mid-range scoop kind of cleans things up a lot. All right, next I'm going to hit the compressor, glue compressor. I'm going to pull the attack right up, the release right down, and we're just going to compress the hell out of it. Like if I turn the threshold right down, you can hear that kick drum really being squashed there. And maybe I'll turn the sidechain on or the EQs. And that's basically kind of telling the compressor it puts a filter before the compression stage, so that it's not being triggered by the very low end of the kick. But considering there's not much low end anyway, really, it's not really doing anything on or off. But you see we're getting quite a lot of gain reduction there. If you put that up to 10, I'll leave it at 4. And then if I start to pull that gain back up again, now it's probably too compressed, so I'm going to just blend some dry wet back in. You know, sometimes I even do things like I might put an EQ again, or post compression. Maybe just like shave off the bottom there. Kind of scrolling through, seeing if there's anything that I like. Got the very low end there, but maybe I'll just keep it clean for now. The thing is, in like jungle and stuff like this where it's used in, there's often like a big bass line going on anyway, so I know we're clipping 0, don't worry about that for now. You don't want it sounding too hollow, you know. But having that kind of scoop, I really like that. That really does it for me. And I know from experience that it chops up really nicely once you've done this processing. So the RX 950, let's just kind of compare it with the Redux. Now I think like the old samplers, the old schools, like the Akai S950, was it 19200 at 12 bits? Or maybe 16 bits. But you can hit, that's probably, you know, that's not really. Don't want that much. I mean, personally, I think after having the Inphonic RX 950, which is actually quite a cheap little plug-in, and I would highly recommend for break stuff, I don't really bother. Like Redux, kind of, there's a similar bit reduction thing going on, but this just sounds better. So when you load it up, like you can adjust the audio bandwidth, and probably having it, you know, if we have it full, you can hear it working there. Maybe pull the brilliance down. So that's with it, without. Pulling the brilliance right down, without. Why don't we leave it on for now? So kind of that is really what I would do with this break. You could potentially pull in drum bus and maybe we can see what that's doing. And I might put that before the RX 950. My kind of idea behind this chain is that if things were being sampled on like an S950 or something like that, that'd be the last thing. So the processing would happen before. And obviously this amount of gear in the hardware world back in 1995, 1994 would have been very expensive. So I have a bit of gain compensated there. So I think it applies some sort of compression anyway. Might pull the dry wet down. Yeah, I'm liking that. Not really into the drive or the crunch, they kind of push it too much. Maybe on a touch, like that. Crunch is always a bit mid-rangey for me. What about transients? My kind of thinking, like the way I think about when I apply anything like this, and this is all kind of from trial and error experience. I don't have training other than kind of the years I've been doing it. But as soon as I start to hear the effect, that's when I kind of think of, right, that's the kind of limit, and it's important to remember with every dial that you have that there's a full spectrum of sound there. It's not just 0 or 1. Okay, we'll hear it on the other ones now as well. Yeah, I like that. I think one's a bit quiet maybe. Let's adjust that brilliance slightly. Those tambourines are far too loud. And I might apply some different processing to those when I redo them. Okay, so that'll do for now. So now I'm going to resample them with the processing on at repitch mode, and then we're going to chop them up. Let's do it. Cool. Okay, we'll just crop that last one. And now we have our nice Fink prints. Really, I should have called them clean, but we'll go with prints, fine. Excellent. Okay, at this stage, before we move on any further, I am now going to take these ones. I'm going to do some reprinting. So we'll put in another one. And we're actually going to do some warping stuff. Think warps. Call that. Resampling's already set. And let's just go maybe with the... let's go with our third one. And I'm going to go into repitch mode and I'm going to double the length. And now we should have that pitch down effect. Cool. So I only want one bar of that. Well, one bar, it's actually 2 bars of the tempo. So no, I didn't want that. Cool. Okay. And we'll maybe take the first one and we'll change it to texture mode. We can do some like time stretching. Sick. Okay, we'll record that. Cool, and we'll do another one. We'll do the same one, but we're gonna change the flux size and maybe the grain size, reduce it to like 32. We'll see what that's like. Cool. All right. And the idea is that if you then set these to repitch mode and you make them the original length again, you're going to get this cool kind of the sound that you hear on where something's been time stretched and then repitched back up. Sorry, wrong one. We'll do the same with this one as well. Okay, and we have to do another reprint, Think Warps print. If we want to preserve this before we start chopping it. Cool, so a bit silly, but now we have kind of all of our raw material that we can start chucking it in a sampler, we can chuck it in a drum rack, and we can start chopping it up. So my favorite way to chop the Think break is I like to chop it slice by slice, and I think it works so well doing that. You can of course just chuck it in a drum rack, but for this video I'm going to focus on the slice by slice mode, at least for the beginning, before I might move into that. Let's take this, let's work with this one. So now we're going to slice to new MIDI track, and I'll just show you how to set this up. Like when you have Ableton default, you don't have this sampler slicing preset, and this you can add by go to Instruments, Sampler, drop it in. You can set up the kind of defaults and how you want it to look and everything like that, which is fine. This is all good. I might change this to something like 2, and the velocity's fine. We'll turn off the filter. We'll turn off the filter envelope. That's great. All right, we'll make it sample. And then we go to our user library, defaults, and this is going to be slicing, and you'll see we've already got it in there. So if I just pull this in, we can see what I've got set here. So I've already got these settings set. But then we could drag that in. It would save it, overwrite that one that's already in there. But we're going to roll with that one for now. So right-click, slice the new MIDI track. We're picking our sampler. There's going to be 20 slices. We're doing by transient. Before we do that, let's just have a look at where those transients are. And we'll actually just want the 1 bar, so let's pull that down, crop sample. I'm just going to insert one there, Command-I on a Mac. In fact, sorry, Command-Shift-I will just insert a transient for you, and also one at the end here. Get rid of this final one. And maybe put one there, that could be quite fun. All right, we'll see how that does. Right-click, slice the MIDI track, sampler, okay. Let's give it a listen. Okay, so we've got that little. This is what happens. We've got a little bit at the start. So let's undo that. Let's try again. Let's go right in. Just get rid of this one there. Right-click, slice the MIDI track, sampler, 13 slices. That looks better. Okay, they're lined up nicely now in sampler. I want quantize 16th notes, semiquavers, and I'm going to highlight all these. Legato, just make sure the velocity's up full, and we'll give this a listen. So you can hear there's some slightly janky bits. We're just going to go in and line those all up nicely now. So, you might just want to pull them down like this. Make sure snaps off as well. And the thing is, we can kind of hear what these are like as we test through them. I just keep playing it so I can kind of adjust as I go. Go back. Don't lose too many hours of your life trying to line all this stuff up. Get it as close as you can, because when we start to chop it up, it doesn't matter quite as much. But I like doing this way because you can get some really nice staccato effects. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So now I will show you what I mean by, if we go back into it, we highlight these all, and then I am going to just get shift to my arrow key. Yeah, love it. We could also do something with these warps as well, maybe to bring them up. In fact, before we do that, let's just go, we're going to call this master, yeah? And we're going to call this, I am going to name this AW Think Break. We're on 2. Rack, and then I put the date as well, because I do so many of these now that I need to track the date. I am going to group this, and we're going to map some controls here. We're going to map the pitch to number 4. We are going to map the volume to number 8. I'm going to map decay to 5, sustain to 6, and release to 7. This is just kind of habit now. DSR, DB, and pitch. All right, there we got our little rack. And if you are changing tempos, you may want to adjust the pitch. This can also be good for like pitch rolls, stuff like that. We'll also need to boost the gain slightly. Just So it sounds a bit janky still, but when you start chopping this up, you'll kind of start to lose those things. The alternative is let's chop a couple of these, and then I'll chop another one onto a drum rack, and we'll kind of compare them. So I'm going to take this over to the timeline now, and are we on this channel? Let's just go with a nice simple one to start with. Yeah. Okay, we'll roll with that now. Then I Command J, I rename it, and I'll put it back over here. Set loop on. And at this point, I might go in and tidy up some of the start points as well. See if I can. If you're finding some of them are cutting off too much, just extend the end of them out a little bit. All right, pretty nice. So let's maybe duplicate that in and add some other stuff at the end. Just changing the grid size here and going in and kind of shortening them a bit. You can get some really nice light staccato effects. Let's add some rolls in, shall we? Just add in drawing with the velocity. Let's do some more of those, shall we? Yeah. Add in some little fills. Very nice. And you know, kind of hearing this before, you could kind of add some reverb or delay on it, and you're going to be getting kind of in the ballpark of that kind of Sully-esque sound. Particularly, we've got the envelope as well that we can adjust here. Yeah, I really love that kind of thing. So, I'd at this point I'd probably pull in the master again, and we could do some other kind of loops here. Maybe have this snare. Take this little chucker bit and put that there. Nice little kind of break there. Maybe not. Yeah, I really like doing that. Okay, come on, Jay again. Rename it. Take it over again. And this is how I like to do it. I build up these kind of all these clips. Make it loop. You can build up these kind of little melodic motifs. Let's like make these a bit shorter. Maybe on those there. Nice. And you might duplicate this at this point, and then in this last, just before the 8-bar. 8-bar phrases work really well. We'll add in a kind of, drawing a roll on the kick. Very nice. Okay, so that's the kind of way I would deal with the think break, or one of the think breaks, and slice it up like this. So we'll just go through a quick drum wrap thing and then we'll wrap things up. Maybe we'll add in some of the warps to that. So I'm just going to create a new track, and I am going to pull in a drum rack here. And let us take, how about we work with this one? This one. Yeah, that's what that. So I'm just going to pull it in onto C1. I actually like to work with, if you haven't seen my Amen, how to chop an Amen break video, I might need to watch that again as well. And I will link to that in the description, because I go through how to create a drum rack dropping preset. And I haven't done that here, and I'm not going to recreate it now. We're just going to go from scratch for the sake of time. So I am going to work in classic mode. We're going to have warp on, and we are just going to map some stuff very quick. Let's map this. I'm going to make the velocity 35. Is that all I'm going to do? I think that's all I need to do, isn't it? And let's just go into the in-outs, because we are going to turn this on to choke group 1, so that it's going to be a bit like playing monophonically. So now if I'm just kind of drawing some stuff here. And I'm going to rename that kick. I'm also going to pull in the... we'll pull in this warped one here. I'm going to deal with the warps up here. And if I set this to classic mode, I'll leave this on repitch. Great, okay. Now dealing with this in a drum rack, it wouldn't have made a difference doing that particular repitch, but with the in fact, it would be the same for these ones as well. Go to classic mode. You can change when you're dropping onto a drum rack, dropping samples on drum rack. You can add in the simpler settings that you want to kind of put in here as a default. For now, I'll just do it the hard way. Okay, that's great. Nice kick. Let's pull that over. Alt, and we're going to make this a snare. So I'm just going to pull this one onto the snare. Snap is on, and I don't want that on. I want this on 1. Don't want snap. I want this on 1 as well. And now if I start drawing some snares as well. And you might prefer that kind of sound to the staccato sound, and let's carry on. Let's pull this over. And I have got my keyboard here, and I'm actually going to... With the Think 4, I kind of find it's just the first kick and the snare pattern. So that's really kind of the best part of it. So yeah, let's carry on with this loop. And you might find you get kind of slight glitches on this, in which case I would just mess around with where the next one happens. Or you can draw in like a double. because you can hear a slight click there. I'm going to change this to a hi-hat. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good, isn't it? We're going to have to make these. Maybe if we make this, we're going to choke this one to 1 as well. We'll call this like kick pitch down. And let's just do another pattern here. And we're going to call this AW think. What's the format we've used here? Okay, so this is the think free. Think break free. Drum rack 230406. Cool. And let's just draw another one in, shall we? I'll move this one up here. I'm going to duplicate that, and we'll have this as the snare. I'm just going to move that to the snare. A bit louder, so I might just put it down -3 in the gain. Yeah. Let's duplicate this here, and maybe we'll just double the repitch length here to. Find another bit, shall we? What's this then? Oh, like a hi-hat, maybe? Okay, let's jump into that last one, the All right, we'll have another clip here. Okay, time stretch 1, that's a kick. TS1K. Come up with your own naming conventions for these things. TS1K. TS1 snare. And I really should be mapping these to these, shouldn't I? Let's just do that now quickly. All right, I think that's okay for now. Let's take this one. And did we get another one? Let's pull this in. In fact, before we do that, I'll show you a quick kind of hack to get around having to do the macro stuff, which is just duplicate it, and then we'll drop the thing in here. And we'll choke these together. TS1 snare. Oh, this is actually TS2, isn't it? TSS. This is purely for like future Alex that's looking at this stuff, and otherwise I have to listen to them all. So when you time stretch it out, it kind of smears everything, so it's harder to align things up, but we'll just roll with that. Now I've also got the other bits at the bottom here. And we might want to just bring these down a bit as well. -3 or something like that. Lovely. Bring that over the other things we've done. Yeah, very good. I've got an amen here as well, which I'll bring in. Works so well with the Amen. Now you can hear some of those kind of ones hanging over the end there. You're kind of getting the squeaky bits. So you might just want to tidy those up a bit. You know, can make it like this, can we? You just really want the snare here. Before this kind of James Brown sounding like a bird. And that's happening because they're not in a choke group that is then re-triggered in a previous one of these clips. So if they're in 2, they're just going to keep carrying on because there's no time stretch bits in there. There are hacks getting around stuff like that if you just do like dummy pads with no samples on. Okay, folks, that is going to do it for today. One last thing before we go, and that is when you've kind of created these racks, the thing to do is go to your user library, and if you don't already have a My Presets folder set up, you can just add that here, new folder, My Presets. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to delete that. But I am going to simply get my channels that I've created here, and I'm going to drag them in here. And I'm going to do the same with this one. And I'm also going to do the same with my nice fingerprints here. So that I've got these in any project, I can just pull them in and get to work chopping with them. So I hope you found something useful in this video about dealing with the Think Break. I'd encourage you to sample it yourself from Spotify or YouTube, wherever you can. The original vinyl, if you have it, and have fun processing it and chopping it up. I'm going to pack this set up now and I'm going to put it on Patreon. There's loads of things like Think Breaks and hundreds and hundreds of breaks on there if you're interested. Link in the description. I'd also like to thank my Patreon supporters who give a small donation to the channel and help me continue doing what I'm doing. And a big shout out to my newest and youngest fan in Old Hill, and that is Callum. Callum, thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. And to everyone else, thanks very much for watching, and I will see you around. Cheers.